Okay, well, it's Friday the 13th. Can you believe it? But it's a beautiful day, and I think people are so excited by the great weather. The last that they say we're going to have for another couple of days. So who cares? The date? We're just here. Thank goodness. Welcome to Let's Talk on WIN TV, where today we will discuss the issues that matter. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. So glad to be with you today. So glad that you're with me today. And if you happen to get a chance, push share. We certainly want to grow our audience today. We've got a great show ahead of us. We have some guests we hope will inspire and inform you. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer, available for free on newsstands today throughout the DMV. So make sure you pick up a copy of it. And inside this issue is our annual, I'm trying to pull this together here, our annual financial literacy special section. And so, we cannot learn too much about how to manage our financial resources. So, pick up a copy, some great content in here, and I hope that you will share it. You can, if you don't pick up a copy at the newsstand, you can also read the digital edition online at washingtoninformer.com. And that's what it looks like. And actually, there's a page turner, so you can check that out as well. So visit us at washingtoninformer.com, and we hope that you will get a chance to read and stay up on the latest news in the Informer in the DMV. Please be sure to click like and share this broadcast, as I said earlier, on your social media platforms, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X. Well, Twitter is X, or X is Twitter. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Follow us there. We're on Threads now, YouTube. And for those of you all who frequent Nextdoor, we're going to be joining you soon on Nextdoor. So you will be able to find us all over the place. And we're trying to grow our community because definitely want to be more a part of yours. So make sure that you check us out in those places, and also YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, one of the things would like for you all to do is to sign up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Washington Informer TV, all one word, which you can see here on the screen, no spaces. Washington Informer TV. And also, when you go to the website, Washington Informer, a big, sign up graphic is going to pop up. And we hope that you'll take advantage of that and subscribe to the Informer. We send a weekly newsletter out a daily newsletter, which keeps you up to date on the news that we're covering in the DMV, as well as what we call some of our offers. So it's just so much that we want to share with you, because it's our not only duty, our responsibility, but our mission to keep you informed on the latest news and events in the DMV. So before I introduce our guests, I want to say, for those of you all who I just want to thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough. Thank you for supporting the Washington Informer over the years. It's been a little while, but if you've been with us for the entire 59 years, we sincerely appreciate you. And you're saying, what are you talking about? Yeah, we turned 59 years old on Tuesday. I think that's Tuesday, October the 16th. That's the date. Tuesday, on October the 16th. That will be our 59th anniversary. Publication was started in 1964 by my father, Dr. Calvin Rollard. We are still here. We're fearless journalists, and you see a photograph there of most of the members of our team. There's some that aren't there, and that's our wonderful distributors who get that paper out every week. But we've got a great, motivated, and inspirational staff that really does its job to make sure that we bring the best that we have to offer to you all. So we want to thank you for your support over the last 59 years. And while we celebrate our 59 years, we're also reminded of the 28th anniversary of the Million Man March. The Million Man March took place on, I believe that was it the 15th or the 16th? The 15th. So there's going to be a observance of the 28th annual Million Man anniversary of the Million Man March on this Sunday, October the 15th. It's called Atonement and the Great War. And I don't think that we should overlook that historic date in the nation's capital, whether we're there or wherever. I think we need to acknowledge the fact that that was a wondrous day, a wonderful day here in Washington, D.C., but in the nation and across the world, when you had over 1 million Black men on the National Mall who talked about what we probably need to be talking about now is how we better care for our communities, support Black-owned businesses. There was a whole list of things. And so it'd be interesting, at some point, we might do this next week, is to just remind folks of what happened on that wonderful day. But to commemorate the anniversary, Muhammad Mosque number 4 on Pennsylvania Avenue in Southeast DC will be streaming the Day of Atonement on this Sunday. The doors there open at 2 p.m. There will be a program which you can live stream. And so we hope that you will join in and hear from some of the great speakers. Of course, we know we will hear the voice of Minister Louis Farrakhan, among others. Our first guest today is a true authority in the realm of healthcare. Adrian Jordan, president of Amerigroup, will be here to discuss with us the ever-evolving landscape of Medicaid and the work Amerigroup is doing in the community. We're also going to be joined by Mercedes Limp, executive director of My Sister's Place, an organization dedicated to the fight against domestic violence. And she's going to share with us the insights and advocacy and support and awareness as it relates to domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Month, as I mentioned earlier. And so we want to make sure that we provide information and resources to those who may find themselves in this situation, male or female, and recognize that there's resources out there that's available for them. We're also going to have a very inspirational guest who's had her own experience, Letitia Nicole Beatty, Dr. Beatty, a domestic violence survivor and an author. And she will take us on a personal journey of survival and healing as she shares her incredible story and the stories of others that are featured in her book, Unsilenced. And our final segment, we're exploring a different kind of journey, one that opens doors to education. Tiffany Green, founder of Uprooted Academy, is here to talk about an exciting virtual college tour your college-bound student won't want to miss. So stick around, watch the whole show, and we hope that you will leave with some great information in your pocket and in your head that you can share with others and tell them you heard it here at Let's Talk on WIN TV. So before we bring on our guests, let's watch our weekly news broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. The Israeli government formally declared war and gave the green light for, quote, significant military steps to retaliate against Hamas for its surprise attack, as the military labored into Monday to crush fighters still in the southern towns and intensified its bombardment of the Gaza Strip. The toll has passed 1,000 dead and thousands wounded on both sides. Hamas and other smaller Islamic Jihad groups claim to have taken captive more than 130 people from inside Israel and brought them into Gaza, saying that they will be traded for the release of thousands of Palestinians imprisoned by Israel. Over the past year, Israel's far-right government has ramped up settlement construction in the occupied West Bank, and Israeli settler violence has displaced hundreds of Palestinians. The DC Board of Elections announced last Friday that in a data breach, hackers were able to access thousands of DC residents' voter records. In a release, the board said it was aware of the hacker group, known as Ransom VC, had got access to over 600,000 lines of U.S. voter data on Thursday. The board said it discovered the breach through its website and its hosting provider, DataNet, and has since taken down its website as a precaution. A spokesperson for the board said, quote, the DC Board of Election continues to access the full extent of the breach, identify vulnerabilities, and take appropriate measures to secure voter data and systems. The district once again touts itself as an international city with the first ever Capital City Africa Week Festival. This first festival spotlights the West African nation of Ghana, and the festival started on October 9th and will run through the 14th. The Embassy of Ghana, the Ghana Tourism Authority, Events DC, and other sponsors of the event have programs which culminate in the Capital City Africa Cup, a friendly soccer match between DC United and Ghana's Premier League of Champions, Mendama SC. Ghana's ambassador to the U.S., Haji Alima Mahama, commented saying, quote, "This momentous occasion not only brings our vibrant Ghanaian culture to the forefront, but also strengthens the bonds of friendship and partnership between our two nations."
Thank you so much, Curtis. Hey, I'm going to tell you all, this Ghana week has been exciting. I know this game on Sunday is going to be exciting. It's going to be colorful. It's going to be really, really, I think, a fun time. So if you haven't purchased your tickets, if you don't know whether you're going to go, I strongly encourage you. I think the rain would have let up by then, and it's going to be a little chilly, but it should be a wonderful game. So I would check it out. And it's a great thing that the city is celebrating Ghana Week here, and probably many other international weeks that we often celebrate. But this is one of the biggest I think we've done with an African country. So check it out. Check it out. So joining us now is Adrian Jordan, the planned president and CEO of Amerigroup DC. Adrian, welcome to Let's Talk.
Hi, Denise. Good afternoon, and congrats to 59 years.
Thank you. We made it. One more. We're going to have a big shindig for our 60th. So, but every day is a critical day in the business of newspapers. You know that. So media is struggling, but I appreciate that well wish. So let's talk about you and Amerigroup. How long have you been with Amerigroup?
So I've been with Amerigroup for a little over 6 years now. And we've been in the District of Columbia in and out mostly during that time, but we just re-entered as an active managed care organization covering 70,000 lives this April 1st.
Okay. And so you have the big title of president and CEO, which means that, you run the program, right? You run not necessarily a program, but you keep things going. So, I mean, tell us, how healthcare is such a major issue in our community, and it's a major issue, but it's I guess preventive healthcare, trying to keep people seeing doctors not when they're sick, but when they're well, to stay well. What do you see as one of the challenges for Amerigroup in your role?
So, I think all of healthcare is local. So what happens in DC may be different than what happens in the state of Maryland or Virginia, even though we're in close proximity. Being a native Washingtonian, graduating from Wilson, which is now Jackson Reed, I have a unique perspective on the different changes in the district and the needs of our community. And I think you hit on it, really well when you said, how do we move the needle in the community? And it's truly partnering with community-based organizations, because having an insurance card, having a doctor, that's not enough, right? There are social things that come in: underemployment, undereducation, transportation, lack of food. If you don't have those things, having insurance and a doctor, it won't help you. It'll help you after you're sick, but it won't stop you from getting sick. So a lot of the work that I'm doing is making sure that everyone who works with us knows that we're deeply rooted in our community, and we're going to partner with those organizations. And it's interesting, that have decades of experience with the community, who are trusted partners, so that we can come in and do our jobs and work with them and support them on the stuff that they've been doing as well.
So having said that, Adrian, I mean, what would you describe as some of your accomplishments, personally, or Amerigroup's accomplishments in actually fulfilling some of those needs?
So, I think even before we started covering, like I said, those 70,000 lives that we cover now, we wanted to make sure we were rooted in the community. So during COVID, we really upped our philanthropic game, and we donated about $1 million to local organizations. My sister's place being one of the Martha's Table, Pathways to Housing, were all recipients of what we thought we wanted to do, because we wanted to seed the marketplace, the city, with organizations that are doing the work, and then we can come in and partner with them. So it wasn't the healthcare and making sure you had a $25 gift card, but it was working with those folks so that when we came in the market, I saw the display with My Sister's Place, that we could continue that work we did in the beginning and make sure we have those safety nets in place so that no one, loses and falls through the cracks, because that's where we see the worst health outcomes, where the hardships come and you may end up with housing insecurity, or you may not end up with food. We have those partnerships with trusted community organizations that allow us to send our members there so that they can continue getting the healthcare and services that they need.
I know one of your big challenges and missions and a goal actually is to get all DC residents to recertify for Medicaid. Talk about why they need to recertify, and really how you all are making that journey easy for them.
Sure. So historically, prior to the pandemic, you had to recertify on a regular basis. When the pandemic came, it upended everything. We started communicating more like this via screens and not in person, but it also stopped the recertification for Medicaid. So of the tens of thousands of people who joined over the pandemic, they've never had to go through the recertification process. So with those who have to do it regularly, annually, those who joined up for the first time during the pandemic, it's almost a perfect storm. You have tens of thousands of residents who have to do something that they've never done before, or they'll risk losing their healthcare coverage. So for the last 6 months, we've been working with the other MCOs and with the Department of Healthcare Finance to ensure that folks know, don't wait, ready, set, renew, check your status. Even if you think you're good, go back and check again, and really putting people through the district's portal at districtdirect.dc.gov, where even if you think you're good, you can go and verify to make sure you're still eligible and you don't have to recertify. So between that, we've gone to well over 50 community events. We have been pushing it out on social media. We're doing ads and things like this. Anywhere I go, I talk about the importance of renewal, just to make sure that folks don't lose their coverage. And one more thing, if you do happen to lose your coverage and you were eligible, you just didn't do the paperwork, the district has a grace period where any point in that 90 days, you can go back and get the coverage again. So, even if they fall off the rolls, we go back and make sure, hey, you might have been eligible. You can still get back in within 90 days.
So let's just look at some dates, because is there a deadline? You may have mentioned that, but is there a deadline to recertify?
So it really depends on when you signed up.
Okay.
So it's rolling deadline. So some people in June, they had to recertify by June. Some people in August, some people in October. So we anticipate this process going until the second quarter of next year, and then it'll slow down and it'll be those regular recertifications. It won't be just well.
Yeah, and to recertify, I mean, is it just going online and making sure that all of your information is correct and saying, yes, it's me, and moving on? Or are there a lot of questions, that have to be asked? What's the process?
So, it varies from member to member. So generally speaking, for the vast majority of those on Medicaid in DC, yes, you're just going and verifying that, yes, I am who I say I am. My situation is still what it is. But for some folks who joined during the pandemic, they may have gained employment that maybe get them financially out of Medicaid, and they have to do a new product, maybe on the health benefits exchange. But for most people, it is as simple as just going and recertifying, saying that I am who I am and things are the same.
What is it that Amerigroup offers to Medicaid, plan holders? What is it that Amerigroup offers, and how do you access that care?
Yeah. So in addition to just being a member and being able to go to the thousands of doctors, specialists, primary care doctors that we have in our network, we host a slew of events in our wellness center. We have a wellness center located at 609 H Street, conveniently off the X2 and the streetcar, where we host food and nutrition programs. We host what we call baby showers, where mothers can come in and they can learn how to install a car seat or to put up a crib. And when you complete those safe sleeping classes, we actually will give you a crib and a car seat and things like that. So those are some of the extra things. You also get things like transportation benefits and gym memberships and Weight Watchers if you're trying to manage diabetes or other chronic conditions, and what we call our value-added benefits. But it's really tailored to what we see in our population, the chronic diseases, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and things like that. And then a lot of those services are through our wellness center. where if
Mm-hmm.
anyone just walks in, we have case managers there to help you. If virtual doesn't work, if the phone doesn't work, if social media isn't working, we have people who can engage with you one-on-one. And this model is working so well. We're thinking about opening, well, we're not thinking about it. We're going to do it. We're going to open up a second location somewhere, I think probably, well, I don't want to say too far, but it'll probably be east of the river, Ward 7 or 8 in the coming year.
Wonderful. It was shocking almost to hear the news earlier this week about Mary Lou Retton, the Olympic champion from years ago, America's darling, you know, and that she's facing, this critical illness, and she doesn't have health insurance. Now, of course, one would have thought that she was in a position to pay it, but we can't judge. We don't know. But, do you feel as though Amerigroup has been able to touch everybody who is qualified, or, what do people need to do to join the plan? And are you been able to? You said 700,000. How many?
No, we have 70,000.
70,000. Okay. All right. And what is that in your understanding? What is that compared to who the potential number of members you all could be covering?
Okay. So, that number is volatile as people come on and off the rolls because
Right.
of unwinding. But, we can say, I can tell you over between 200,000 and 230,000 residents are
Mm-hmm.
eligible and on Medicaid in DC right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have about 70,000. And of course, there are other MCOs in the market, and we compete, but we also work together to make sure that regardless of who they're covered with, they have health insurance. But a lot of what we do, we take our leads from the District Department of Healthcare Finance. There's really great, smart people over there who instruct us on what they want to see, because they are tied into the community because they're the government.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We are a contractor to them. So we really try to follow their lead, understand their expectations, tell them what we're seeing on the ground, and work in partnership with DC so that no matter if you come to Amerigroup, which I'll tell you, we do a lot of great things in Amerigroup, or you go to the others, you still will not fall through the cracks and you'll get the coverage you need.
Well, I mean, thanks to organizations like yours, the district, I think, is one of the jurisdictions that has the most insured people or residents. And I think that's the good news. But we know that there are probably still some out there that may not be familiar for some reason or another with the services that Amerigroup can provide. What does it take to qualify?
So there's several ways. I mean, most folks qualify based on income, a certain percentage of the federal poverty level. And then again, that's a sliding scale if you have one member in your household to 4 members. So there's a little math involved. But again, the easiest way to figure out if you're eligible is to go to districtdirect.dc.gov, and you can type in your information and it'll let you know what you qualify for.
Wonderful. And you mentioned partnerships. So, and you mentioned some of the folks that you all partner with, but describe why these partnerships are so important and maybe who some of your partners are.
Sure. I mean, I would love for us to be everywhere, and we have our staff, and I challenge them to be everywhere, but we know that's not really possible. We also know that while we're a healthcare company, we're not the experts in food or domestic violence prevention or educational grants and subsidies and things like that. So we look for those who are better at doing those things than we could if we just tried to split it up and do a million things at once. And then we can make them better and they can make us better. So we have a program with Capital Area Food Bank that launched through our foundation a couple of weeks ago that's going to offer 150 families meals and prepared meals for kids with diabetes, pre-diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. We also work with Food and Friends. We have, I think I mentioned Martha's Table, where we did a pilot, a cash transfer program where we gave them money, and you would be just, if you qualified, here's money, no questions asked, to remove the stigma of being, resource insecure. We've also done some partnerships with the Department of Parks and Recs and the Latin American Youth Center, where I might be food insecure, but I don't want to sign up on a form. I don't want that stigma that, I'm impoverished or poor. So you can walk into the Latin American Youth Center and there's a Amerigroup Feed the Fridge where you can just go in and get prepared meals and just walk out, no questions asked. So we're trying to tackle things in a bunch of different ways with partners that have the trust and the trust of the community. And then most recently, because I don't want to say anyone's more important, My Sister's Place. We've been partnering with them through the pandemic and grants to support their endeavors. Because while we're talking about healthcare, if you're not safe, you can't be healthy.
Right.
And we know that safety, healthy people create healthy communities, and that's what we really want to do. And that's why we're deeply rooted in the community and working with these grassroots community-based organizations.
Well, we are going to have a representative from My Sister's Place on, and actually following you, Adrian. But I just want to ask, because I've asked you a lot of questions, is there something that you want to tell our viewers that I didn't ask that you think is important for them to know before we sign off?
No, I think you hit on it very well, but I would just say it one more time, don't wait until you could potentially lose coverage. If you think you're eligible, the resources are there. You can always come into Amerigroup DC at 609 8th Street Northeast, or you can go online, districtdirect.dc.gov, to make sure you're covered or that you can get covered if you're not.
Fantastic. Well, Adrian Jordan, the planned president and CEO of Amerigroup DC, thank you so very much for being with us today, for sharing this great information. And we know we're going to have you back because we all, I think, are striving for a healthy community. Yeah. And so we all play our role in that. And we are really glad that you all are in the forefront of making sure that happens. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. And so you all, as we said, it is October. Boy, we know it's October. We've seen the pumpkins, and I almost want to say the Christmas trees. We can't get through October fast enough before we're trying to get to December. But this is also, not only is it National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it is Domestic Violence Month. And as I said to Adrian earlier, we are so excited to have Mercedes Limp, who is the CEO of My Sister's Place, with us today. Mercedes, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, so give us a brief overview of My Sister's Place and how it came about, and just sort of the role that you all are trying to play in the prevention of the domestic violence.
Sure. So actually next year, we're celebrating 45 years of being in existence and serving survivors of domestic violence. We offer a wide range of services to families fleeing domestic violence, and not just families, it can be single folks as well. But we offer everything from shelter services all the way through transitional housing. And we even have a program that we call aftercare. So when we have a client, we always tell them that you're always a My Sister's Place client. We offer not only housing support, but wraparound supportive services. So when a survivor comes to us, they might need to be connected to health services or financial resources or help getting their children into school, anything that can help support their safety and stability. So as I mentioned, that we have shelter services, and then we have transitional housing where we support housing for clients to live in for 1 to 2 years. And all of this, of course, is with wraparound supportive services. And one thing we started just recently is a cash transfer program where we are providing 45 families $500 a month for 2 years, because we're really leaning into economic equity and the economic barriers, and realizing that sometimes that's the most pivotal thing. 99% of the time, financial abuse goes hand in hand with domestic violence, and it's the number one reason survivors can't leave the abuser, or maybe even choose to go back to an abuser, is because they don't have that financial ability to make that break. And so if that's one of the biggest reasons, we wanted to address that head on. And so we're really leaning into how we can support survivors with financial support to take that out of the way and then provide all the other services they might need.
Mercedes, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, the way that you all have recognized the variety of needs, domestic abuse survivors need addressed, and you've been able to provide that. I'm curious though, because we've gone through COVID and now we're on the other side. Can you sort of describe in some ways, I guess, how widespread this problem still is? I mean, you would think with all of the information, everything, that you may see a reduction in domestic violence, but what are you seeing?
Yeah, that would be great. Unfortunately, that's not the case. With COVID, we saw an increase in incidents of domestic violence, and that goes to the issue of stressors and economic stress on a family and all the other stressors. And that obviously increases the propensity to have friction and crisis in a home. And that just makes domestic violence that much more prevalent. And so COVID was a big stressor, but everything that went with COVID, being locked up in, in close proximity,
Right.
day in, day out with the family, not being able to leave, having the kids at home, that's an added stress. And then on top of that, everything has become so expensive, more expensive than it was before. So housing is so expensive. Childcare is so expensive. So there are all these other barriers that have made everything that much more stressful, but also make the barriers to leaving that much harder. So our work continues. We hope that it will lessen at some point. But unfortunately, the economy is such, the environment is such that it's an ongoing issue. But we are constantly growing and trying to expand our services to help in any way we can, not just in addressing the issue when it happens, but also to try to prevent as much as we can. So having educational activities, working with college campuses, that's been a really nice partnership that we've had with American University is a big partner. Howard University is a big partner. So we're trying to go at this in a really strategic but broad way to be able to make our mark and make things better.
So My Sister's Place focuses primarily on women who are victims of abuse. Is that the case?
Not necessarily. So we serve anybody. Our doors are open to anybody, but it is 99% of the time women. And we have traditionally served families. We are open to serving anybody. We actually just last year opened up a new shelter and opened up our offices, and that was with support of Amerigroup. But our new shelter is a space where we can serve families that have older boys. It's also a better structure to serve LGBTQ and men, because our other shelter is more dorm style. And so realizing that dorm style might not be the best fit if we have a male survivor with a bunch of female survivors. This new shelter allows, it's apartment style, so we can better serve those different populations.
That's that I'm telling you, it's there's a growing need, and you all are stepping up, as we were talking to Amerigroup about, to fulfill that growing need. And when we talk about growing need, what about young adults, teenagers, young adults, because it seems as though, the problem is just as severe as it's always been. And we've got new generations or younger generations of folks who are coming up in abusive households, abusive partners. So are you looking at younger men and women as well?
We do. We don't have any age limitations.
Okay.
And actually, for the majority of the clients we serve are younger, anywhere from, I would say the majority are between 18 and 24, 26. And we are also trying to go into high schools and talk to folks from the, to make sure that we are catching young adults and trying to instill that message, not only to the men about how, how to deal with potentially situations that might want you to might instill you to react one way and not have react that way, but also for people who may be victims of domestic violence about walking away and then identifying domestic violence and knowing, where that line is crossed and what to do if you have a friend or if you see an incident, how important it is to respond to that.
How did you get involved in this work, Mercedes? I mean, what brought you to this mission as opposed to anything else?
Yeah. So I have run different nonprofits in my past. And my sister's place, having been in the community for 45 years, has always been an organization that I knew about, knew of the great work they were doing. And when I saw that there was a need for a new executive director, it just really piqued my interest. At the time, the organization had been around for almost 40 years. We celebrated our 40-year anniversary back 5 years ago when I first started. But it was interesting when I first came on that we had been around for 40 years and had not grown a lot. And so for me, I was really inspired to take the great successes that we had in the past 40 years and just grow the organization. So we have grown quite a lot. And I'm really excited about thinking in creating innovative programs to address those different needs, like a guaranteed income program for domestic violence survivors. We also have something called the Fresh Start Fund, where we have a pool of funds to help with one-time needs. So if a client is on the way to work and they have a flat tire and they don't have the money to fix the tire, and if they don't get to work, they would lose the job and everything would fall apart.
Right, which is real. That's a real scenario.
It definitely is. It's happened a lot. And so we have the funds to do that, to react right away. Or really during COVID, we found that these funds aren't even going for, what we in the past were saying emergency one-time needs is literally food and utilities because things have gotten so expensive. What's really exciting to report is that last year we fulfilled 700 requests for our Fresh Start Fund, and we provided almost $400,000 of these one-time needs.
Wow.
That were really pivotal. And sometimes that can be the difference between going back to homelessness or, like I said, losing your job. A lot of the funds went to things like helping a client start a business or go back to school. What can seem like small things, but can lead to bigger implications.
How can folks who are viewing this show, I mean, how could they be supportive I know you don't give your locations, which makes it a wonderful thing. So people do recognize that when they come to my sister's place, they're in a safe place. But how can folks support what you all are doing there?
Sure. So we're a nonprofit. So obviously the best support is donations. And to find out about all our work and to give to My Sister's Place, our website is My Sister's Place DC.com. .org. And then we do use volunteers. We have people sign confidentiality forms, and we have volunteer opportunities, whether it be working with kids at the shelter or providing food on the weekends, helping us put on a fresh coat of paint, helping us plant in the gardens at the shelter. We have a bunch of different things, and we're even open to hearing from folks what they might want to do. So I'm always proposing somebody come in and teach our survivors how to knit, because I think knitting would be a really cool, relaxing activity. We have yoga. So we are open also to, we know there are a lot of talented people in this area, and people have different talents. So bring your talent. If you want to do resume writing, something that you think would be attractive to our clients, we would love to work with you. And we have a volunteer link on our website and a volunteer form. We have activities there, but we're open to what folks might want to do to work with us.
Wonderful. And for those, I know you have a hotline. I know there's a way for people to reach you. Can we talk a little bit about how that works?
Sure. So there is a domestic violence hotline, and that's that will give you, that's the DC hotline. For when you call that hotline number, that's that 844-443-5732 number, you will be directed to the right service depending on what your issue is. For my sister's place, because we have limited capacity, everybody has limited capacity, you might be routed to us, and if we have space, we would take you in, and you would come in, a client would come into our shelter, and a survivor would stay in the shelter anywhere from 30 days to 3 months to 6 months, depending on how much time they need to kind of get that stabilization before they can transition to transitional housing. And that is unique to each client. So we work with each client on their unique goals and your unique issues to then get them to a situation where they can be a little bit more self-sufficient.
Well, Mercedes, my sister's place is definitely a blessing to this community because of the services, but particularly the safe place that you provide for those who need it, and men, women, families. I think that's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that we're taking this opportunity during Domestic Violence, Awareness Month, but this is a year-long situation, that impacts our community. So we hope that folks will reach out, not only to provide support to the organization, but if they need help, that they know that they have a place to call. So we appreciate you being on with us today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys giving me the platform to share our information.
Wonderful. All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
You too.
All righty. We're going to keep rolling here because, domestic violence survivors have a story to tell. Not all of them want to tell the story, though. And it's interesting. Our next guest, I met her a week ago at a very inspiring event. We do have Pam Perry, I think, watching Dr. Beatty. I think she's watching us. I want to give a shout out to her, Pam Perry TV. But we met at her event at the National Press Club, and you actually shared with me that you were a domestic violence survivor, but also you've written a book and called Unsilenced, which I had an opportunity to read. So I want to thank you, one, for texting me your information, and thank you for being willing to come and share your story. Welcome to Let's Talk.
You are so welcome. And I do not want to leave here without saying congratulations on your 59th anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and, your personal journey.
All right. Well, I normally just say I'm just a girl from Detroit, Michigan that had dreams, right, to become what they said I could not. I actually moved to North Carolina in 1992 with $15 and 4 outfits, where I entered Livingstone College. And I was in all remedial classes and failed them all. So then I transferred to Winston-Salem State.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, right. Where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in nursing. I'm a registered nurse and went on to
Nice.
get my master's in business administration. And I worked as an RN in CCU, ICU, but my love for the elderly kept me going back to long-term care. I later got my nursing home administrator certificate, where I then ran nursing homes, and now I'm an owner and operator of 120 bed assisted living in Carborough, North Carolina, where I have my own babies that I take care of, and I also have a nonprofit organization where I give back to the elderly and feed the homeless, because we know that they serve over 50% of the population in America, and that is truly my heart. And I'm an author of 8 books, author, motivational, inspirational speaker, a minister, and I'm a wife, I'm a mom. And I always say I am a work in progress, and I'm a creator. Those that know me really well, they say I'm a creative, and I help people develop content and items that they can sell within their business, whether it's eyelashes I got on my own brand, or or tea, or
Sell it, sell it. Yeah, I'm already inspired. I missed your presentation last week, but I'm certainly inspired by what you've shared with us so far today. And as I told you, I did start reading your book, Unsilenced, and I like the fact that you talked about people who are victims of domestic violence are often criticized. People want to know, how did you end up in that situation, and why didn't you leave, and what's wrong with you, and all those things that we all kind of. You even said you put yourself in that place of being very critical of people who were women, particularly who were victims. It's not that easy, right? Talk about that.
It's not. And as you probably just read, I stated I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself. I was like, who, me? A battered woman? Like, I couldn't even. I'm like, oh my God! Like, I was appalled. Like, I was like clutching my pearls. Like, oh my God! Like, it just can't be me. And what I've learned is that it can happen to any of us. If you find yourself where you don't have confidence in you, or you've been rejected or broken, you can find yourself getting into the same relationships over and over again, just because of your own heart condition. Meaning that, because I was actually separated from my husband of three, we had was separated for like 3 or 4 years at that time, and I call myself starting to date. Well, I wasn't healed. I was not healed within. I was still searching for love in all the wrong places, right? And so then I started dating this man, and I didn't know that he was abusive at first. He put on his nice face first, and so then later learned that he was abusive. He was married. He was a liar. He was a lot of things, but I didn't blame him. I blamed me, because I went into a relationship where I wasn't healed. I wasn't over my marriage, and I thank God that me and my husband are still married 24 years later. Actually, this Sunday will be our 24th year anniversary.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
And I truly learned more about myself, that the healing had to come within, because when you're not healed within, it affects all your relationships. And if the person is just as broken as you're gonna have a broken relationship.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. I mean, I understand not placing blame, but both of you all, like you said, were in a painful situation, and you both needed help. But how did you, and with some of the stories, but let's talk about the book a little bit, because you actually let women tell their stories, and you have, I forget how many actually are in the book. But how did you get them to do that, to really, open up and release?
So I actually shared a picture on social media years ago when I woke up one morning and my forehead was protruding and my nose was broken and my eyes was black. I took a picture of myself. I was just so in disbelief um, what I look like. Okay. And I would look at that picture. And when I got brave enough to share what happened to me, I shared it on social media first. And a lot of people commented, and women were telling me, thank you so much. You're so brave. I wish I would have been brave enough. Maybe someone else would have saw me and, talked to me about what they've gone through. One lady even asked and told me, thank you for writing a book and thank you for sharing your pictures. If you would have done, she said, I wish that I would have met you sooner. Maybe my sister would still be alive.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so these women contacted me and I asked them would they like to share their stories because I was ready to tell mine. And of course, I asked my husband and my children, was it okay? Right? Because it's not just affecting me because I was married, right? And I'm still married. I was separated legally, but still married. And so he gave me permission, and the kids gave me permission to write and tell my story. And so, which gave them women, courage to tell theirs.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And so you went through that experience, and we just talked with the folks at my sister's place. What advice would you give to someone if they are currently in that similar abusive relationship right now?
Well, for one, I would say please contact me because this book gives you a guide to get out safely. Okay. I would tell you to start planning. Don't make haste moves and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that you trust. And I know a lot of times we don't feel like we can trust anybody. We feel like we're the only ones that's going through it. Nobody understands. I remember breaking down, like I couldn't go anywhere without this man being there. Like I couldn't go anywhere, even to church. He'll sit outside and drink in the car, waiting on me to get out of church. And so I got away for a day to some girlfriends, and I remember just breaking down crying. And they all hugged me and like, oh my God, Tish, we didn't know. But they know they hadn't seen me for months. Nobody had heard from me in months. I wasn't dance. I like to line dance. I'm very, social. And people noticed that, that they didn't see me. And some got upset with me. They took it personal. And so I say to those that you may know someone that's starting to act different, I get the book so you can identify the signs of abuse, because abuse is not always physical. It could be verbal, it could be sexual, it could be financial. It's so many different, it's like 13 different types of abuse, right? And so those that are you that are being abused, find someone to talk to. And then those of you that are watching someone and you feel like they've changed, is something wrong, they don't come around no more, they put the man over their children, over their family, please not only pray for them, but let them know that, hey, I'm here for you whenever you feel like you're ready to talk. Please talk to me. I'm here.
That's wonderful. We want to show the book again, and we want you to share with the audience how they can get the book. Can you tell us how we can get it?
Absolutely. You
I'm
can.
not giving mine away. I'm
You say you keep it yours.
I'm giving mine. Right.
You can get the book at letitianicole.com. That's www.letitianicole.com. And it's on over 3,000 outlets, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. But if you want a signed copy, you can get it straight at letitianicole.com.
Wonderful. And before we close, because we run over a little bit, but what are some of the other books you've written?
I've written Unsilenced Faces of Domestic Violence, but I've also written 2 volumes of Our Stories, His Glory. I'm actually on my 3rd volume now, so if anybody want to tell your story, you can contact me. I shouldn't have a favorite book, but I do. It's my 100-day devotional. It's my first book that I wrote, not of a victim, but being victorious. And it teaches you how to speak life into your health, your wealth, your finance, and your relationships. It teaches you goals and reflections, and you can journal. It's a 100-day devotion. And also, I have written a children's book called I Am Beautiful. And it teaches that little girl how to speak life into herself. The little girl is actually me. Her name is Joy. And Letitia means joy, so I named her after me. And that's me in there, and the little girl, that's my mom. Right.
Nice, nice.
And so it teaches a little girl's words of power, so they can have good self-esteem. I've also written Healing Toxic Habits. Oh my Jesus, I have 2 volumes of that. And toxic habits being shame, doubt, guilt, anger. And they're all true stories. They're all help books. And I have a 90-day abundant living planner for those of you that want to birth a business or a product within 90 days. It's an amazing product. And yeah.
Well, I asked, you have been busy. You have been busy. And one of the things I'll just say, just to encourage folks, at the beginning of the year, New Year's, we're always talking about what we're going to do for the new year. We've got a little less than maybe 75 days left in this year. I'd say go ahead and pick up one of those books that you have so that by the time the new year comes, you're ready to start that business, right? You're already there. So that's my plug for you, for what you're offering, and for the viewers who are watching, to please reach out to Dr. Letitia Nicole Beatty. And I want to thank you so very much for being with us today and sharing your personal story and so much encouragement and inspiration for those who really, really need it. So
thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And we may see you again.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. So, there's help out there, and there's just folks that want to help. So I say take advantage of that. We're going to segue now to, I think, something else is very exciting. We're going to run over, but that's okay, because we do that here on Let's Talk here on WIN TV, because I want to bring on now Tiffany Green, who is with Uprooted Academy. Thank you, Tiffany, for being with us. And if I can get you to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We've gone through some pretty heavy stuff, but I mean, you're bringing heavy stuff too, but heavy stuff that's really going to also make a difference in the lives of young people who are looking to go off to college. Tiffany, tell us about Uprooted Academy.
Yeah, so Uprooted Academy, we are a national nonprofit that really comes alongside schools, organizations, and families to help their students navigate the college application process. And so what we started out was we are a platform that is completely free. So any student that's in high school can go on our Apple or Google Play Store, download our app, get access to over 25 hours of resources and videos and worksheets to prepare themselves to be competitive in the college application journey. We also have opportunities for parents. We do webinars and workshops. We do events. We'll talk a little bit about our National Virtual College Fair tomorrow. But we also come alongside and train anyone that is there to help students. So that includes everything from basketball coaches to school counselors, to advisors, to youth pastors. Anyone that's helping students design their dreams, we come alongside to make sure that they are equipped.
So what inspired you to create this platform? I mean, it just sounds like something I could have used when my sons were about to go off to college. I mean, it was a tedious process. And a lot of times young people don't participate. They leave it up to the parents. But what motivated you to create this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, I was first in my family to go to college and navigate that process. And even though it was over 20 years ago at this particular point, I think I still recall feeling alone. I still recall resources being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And at this particular point, the internet was very new. So, right, you had dial up. I had my phone plugged, or my phone cord plugged into the desktop. And, sometimes I would navigate resources, but it wasn't a one-stop shop, and that made it very overwhelming. Even as we have the digital age, there's a lot of resources that are out there, but there's nothing there that allows students to find what we call ourselves to be a hub, right?
Mhm.
And with this hub, students can get everything that they need, including links to other organizations or websites that are there. But what I found was that students today, just like I was experiencing a long time ago, we were working really hard, but really wrong because we didn't know what we were doing.
Right. And some
And
parents don't either, you know.
parents
Right.
absolutely don't.
Mhm,
Whether you're
mhm.
first in your family to go to college or your family has gone to college, the landscape of the college admissions process has changed drastically over the
Mhm.
last 20 years. And so you're right, everybody needs our support. So we consider ourselves to be that hub in our like national village of families, of students, of educators who really want to help, particularly Black and Brown students who might also be low income, might also be first in their family to navigate this process, to feel like confident, empowered, and proud. And that's really what it was about. And then on the other side of it is my background. I went to Howard. So shout out to,
Woo-hoo!
yeah, so I did my grad work at Howard. And when I was there, I became a clinical psychotherapist, and I specialized in trauma work. And so the topics that you all have been talking about today is so relevant because one of the most unique pieces of our platform, of our organization, is that we just don't care about students attracting and going after their dreams. We actually want them to be well in doing so. And I
Mm,
think over the last 5 years, what we've seen this tension, right? We've seen
right,
students either going after their dream at the expense of their mental health, or figuring out their mental health is more worth it and then not pursuing their dream. And
right.
so what we do is we provide really effective non-clinical approaches in our platform, in our programming, to ensure that students can have strong well-being. Because if we're talking about college, we also are talking about the racial wealth gap. We need our students to apply, we need them to graduate, we need them to not just run out of steam at that point. We actually need them to go into the workforce, to go back into our communities and do the things that we were told that college was supposed to be able to do. But most of folks, when they go through this process, they're burnt out. They have every single anxiety or depression or imposter syndrome known to man, and so now they're not able to finish the course. And so we can no longer have that tension. We have to be able to say we can do both. And we can have our dreams discovered and actualized and realized while also taking care of our mental health.
Well, and also affordability comes in there too, because that can cause anxiety, a lot of anxiety. You know, I can't
Absolutely.
can I afford it? Do I want the student loans? Can my parents afford it? Can I get the scholarship? You know, all of that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the app. And so the app is called.
Uprooted Academy. So
Okay, all
exactly the
righty.
name, yep, of our organization. You can search for it. If you don't want to use any space on your phone, because I understand that's a thing with students and families, you can always just go to our website, which is on the banner below, uprootedacademy.org, and you can actually navigate the platform from your laptop or a tablet or a phone. We have literally removed all gatekeepers, and so students are able to download it and approach the content on the app or on just the web-based platform.
And I assume, there's some registration or something that happens there, or I mean, do students have to know already? Okay, I'm looking for college. I want to stay home, or I'm thinking about going down south or something. I mean, how do you navigate it?
Yeah, great question. So for us, our platform helps students before they're even thinking about that, right? So most
Okay.
students don't even know the variety of options of college, right? So what I like to think about it of our app is like we are a Netflix series that breaks down every single component. So Denise, one of the other reasons why we exist is because what we offer is what a lot of folks in other parts of the US that have support during this process would consider it to be a college application boot camp, right? And those boot camps cost families $2,000, $3,000 for their students to attend a 3-day boot camp. It's a
Right.
high level overview. They assume that a parent knows all of the details to fill in the gaps. And then that's how their students are able to like navigate this process. So what we did was we made it in a platform that students can watch on demand. They can start, they can stop, they can rewind. It doesn't expire, right? And we give them all of the nuts and bolts before they apply. So that piece that you're talking about financially, we say, hey, these are things to think about. Schools have to be transparent about the max amount of aid that they're going to give. We should not be surprised by the aid that we're given once a student gets into a college.
Right.
So that's even something small that we get to teach them. We also teach our students, because the majority of our students that we serve are BIPOC students or Black and Brown students across the country. And we say, hey, before you even look at a school that you might have been mesmerized because of the name, make sure that they're ready to serve you when you get there. Because not only is college stressful, but having the identity that might not be served on that campus might also be stressful. So I think I was talking to your colleague about, her daughter's experience, and she went to Utah and she's like, absolutely not, right? The school wasn't ready for her. It didn't have any organizations or programs that made her feel comfortable and at home. And this should feel like a home. For the amount of money that we are investing in schools, we have to understand that we also have the power in this decision too, right? We don't just go to schools. They need students, right? So it's a mutual agreement. And so if they have not committed to having a Black student union, or they haven't had anything that like promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion, maybe it's not going to be the best, because not only is school stressful, we talk about that mental health piece, but it could also be that you don't even feel like you belong. And
Right.
after finances, the number one reason why students leave campus, at least it might have changed to mental health, but after mental health, the number one reason why students leave campus is because they don't feel like they have a sense of belonging.
Right. Makes sense. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, not only about your program, but just making sure that this journey into college is one that should be, I won't say hassle free, because it's not, but just making it easier. You're planning a college fair, a virtual college fair. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. I am so excited about this fair. One, because I think with COVID, whenever someone hears virtual, they automatically think it's Zoom. And myself and my team, there are 8 amazing women of color that are on that team. We designed an amazing platform for students. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through that particular platform. But students will enter in as if they're walking into a conference center, right? It's important for us when we think about equity to ensure that students have access to meeting universities that they might not be able to visit on their own. And so every single thing in this lobby is dynamic. We have a lounge that has wellness resources. This is our auditorium. We're going to have guest speakers. You all are hearing it first, but Insecure star Yvonne Orji, she's going to be our hostess with the mostest.
Wow. Wonderful.
Yes. And, she's a DC, Maryland native. So shout out to you all. But students have the ability to go in and out of our space. We're going to have resources. We're going to have all of these organizations. So everything from scholarship organizations to free college counseling. We have organizations that are there to talk to parents about money, about how to help their students. So not just a regular fair where students go and grab resources. They actually get to sit in workshops. They can actually chat with the individuals. They can attend a university presentation. So we wanted to make it as dynamic as possible. And of course, one of the best things about this particular platform is that it's gamified. So we are giving away $10,000 in scholarships. We have some Nike, we have other swag that we're going to be doing. So the more a student is involved, the more that they earn these points that you see on the screen, and they actually get to push themselves to the top to win, right? So it's not like the favorite kid or the kid with the highest GPA gets the best scholarship. It's the one who just goes and shows up, right? And takes advantage of these resources. And it's for students 9th through 12th. Parents as well can come, as well as educators. They're going to have moments to chat or even video chat with the university admissions counselors. We have National Black College Expo. This is our agenda. So let me know if you can see this screen now. Are you able to see this?
We just saw the college fair.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah,
let
and it
me
popped up.
show
Yeah,
you
so we saw the college fair, entering the
the piece.
venue, and yes, okay, this is the agenda.
Yep. So that's the agenda. This is
Mhm.
we have a welcome kickoff. We have, like I said, those workshops. And then the best part is when students want to interface with a university. So Morehouse will be there. And so this is what their booth looks like. Behind the virtual metaverse booth will be an actual admissions counselor. Talk to them, ask them questions. Some of them will be offering waivers to apply. So just lots of just different resources. And again, we want it to be that hub. We want it to be that one-stop shop. So that way students and families can get all that they need in this one place. And because we know that students and families are busy, as long as a student registers, as long as a parent registers, even if they miss the day or only can go to a couple of workshops or visit a couple booths, this metaverse, this universe that we have built actually will stay live until the middle of January. So as students are still looking for colleges, they can go back to that Morehouse table and say, let me see what handouts they have. They get to put it in their swag bag. We send it to their emails. And
Wow,
so,
wow.
yeah, we really
How did
rethought
you all come up
equity.
with this? How did you I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing. And I guess really the biggest question, because you talked about, other families, right, who will spend thousands of dollars
Yes.
for a weekend. How much does this cost a parent or a student?
$0. They are just
Wow.
coming. We are philanthropy backed. And so, again, we're always taking donations. We're always looking for sponsors for us, but we want to make sure that we kick down every gatekeeper, right? And so, we don't want to have to worry about the politics of getting into a school. That can take years. And that means generations of our students that don't get the help that they need. And so, we made the brave decision to make it completely free.
Wow. I mean, you say that people in my people in my office now are says like, what? They're very excited. That
Mhm.
is amazing. That is so amazing. Now, is this the first launch of this, or has it been around for a minute?
Yeah, great question. So historically, what we did was we used to invite universities to do evening programs with our audience that we would serve. And again, we serve students across over 20 states. And we partner with different like organizations like Upward Bound and Talent Search and Gear Up and charter schools and public schools. I'm going to be hosting live from one high school here in LA. And so like we try to hone in on helping maximize their resources. And so how we came up with it is one, my staff would have been burnt out, right? There's so many institutions in this
Yes.
country. And if we host an event every night, right, I can't preach wellness for the students and then have my staff unwell, right? And so I remember I went to sleep one night and I said, there has to be a better way. And so myself, and then shout out to one of my team members, Amber, we dreamed and we said, what could this look like? And before you know it, everybody else on the team, like I said, my team is 8 women of color who are giving 100%. They're in the backdrop now, still putting all the details together. And we are just really excited, but we really wanted our North Star is always equity and access, right?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
can't assume that students are free all the time. That's a privilege, right? We can't assume students have money. That's also a privilege, right? And so we want to make sure how can we reach every single student without a barrier, without any gatekeeping involved. And so I don't think I knew how amazing it would be when we started this conversation back in April. But to see it now, it's just so incredible. So
It is incredible. That is the perfect word. Incredible, greatly
yes.
needed, and incredible, and a wonderful and major resource for everyone. So, I mean, I know we could go on forever. I don't want to hold you forever. And I know that I hear you're in LA, so you're 3 hours behind us. But I really want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing this. And we want to make sure that we get it out. And other than Win TV, we're glad that you're here with Let's Talk. But how else are you promoting this? Just want to say that quickly.
Yeah, great question. So we are promoting through like partnerships. So the
Okay.
NAACP, UNCF, like Everybody and their mama has this flyer, from the college board, matriculate score. National Black College Expo will be there. We really forge partnerships, right? Like, we don't believe that anybody can climb this mountain alone. And so as soon as we knew we were doing this fair, I called the people that I knew and I said, hey, I know I'm the new kid on the block. We're 3 years old, but we are making huge impacts. Being a woman of color, first gen college graduate, students are resonating with us. You all have the reach. Help us out. And they have been. And so that's been incredible.
And are your schools primarily HBCUs, or they're?
Great question. It's across the board. So everything from Ivy to HBCUs to highly selective, your liberal arts and colleges. We have private, public, right? Everything in between. And this is our first one, right? I think one of the barriers was universities even thought it was Zoom. And now that they're figuring out that it's not, they're like, we want to be there. We want to be there. So we're excited to to make this brave step, to be the hub, to think outside the box of the traditional fairs. And those are also needed, right? It's both and, but we're happy to be in this digital space, making really cool, immersive spaces for students to live in and to dream in.
Well, I would only think that would happen in Hollywood. So I'm just, I think it's amazing that you've done this. I don't know how they're involved, but I think it's wonderful. And we need to thank those funders, who's supporting you and making sure that this is, that it's available and accessible. I think all that's wonderful. So I want to thank you so much. And I hope that folks will share this part of the program with everybody. This is the time now. I mean, believe it or not, we're just back in school for juniors and high school students or whatever. But this is the time to start doing that research and getting that work done. So this is very timely. I really appreciate you being with us, Tiffany.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to have this space and elevating the work that we're doing.
Wonderful. Well, let's keep in touch. I want to see how it turns out, how the virtual college fair went, and let us know how it went. So
will do. Thank you so much.
All right, have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So, wow, that is amazing. I love that. I love that. And technology, like you said, when technology works, it is the answer to so many of our problems and challenges, and provides lots of solutions. And I'm glad that Tiffany and her team, first college students and their families, I mean, just really thought enough of that experience to want to make it available and accessible to so many others. So I want to thank her for being with us. I want to thank you for staying with us a little bit longer today. Hopefully it was worth your time. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great weekend. And hey, give us a shout out on Tuesday for our 59th anniversary. Hope to hear from you. Is it Monday? Why do I keep saying Tuesday? But you can do it on Tuesday too, Monday and Tuesday. Look, we'll be 59 all year long. So no matter when we do it, we want to hear from you. Especially, we'd love for you to sign up and become one of our subscribers to our e-newsletter, and to be a subscriber to our YouTube channel. So have a great week, and I will see you next week, same place, same time. God bless.